So good morning, students. Good afternoon. So today we are going to introduce a third electrode on our X today. Today we are going to introduce E6013. E6013 is known as a beginner's electrode. It is a very mild electrode, a very easy electrode to work with. We are using it in the 8-inch diameter. It is a green looking electrode. So it looks green as compared to the E6011. Okay, so this is what the two electrodes look like compared to each other. Okay, um, and it can be welded in the AC or the DC polarity. And we're going to weld with the DC electrode positive as we've been welding with the other processes. Um, and the amperage for this electrode is typically between 110, 125. I have my machine, this one set at about 116. Seem to be laying down some pretty decent welds with this. But as I've been telling you with all the other electrodes, this is not set in stone. This is what works for me. Grab a junk piece of metal, lay down a couple of beads, um, see what the welds look like. See what the welds look like. Are you getting undercut? Are you getting stuck? Are you able to lay down a decent bead? Play with your amperage a little bit before you just grab your X and just start filling it up, right? And then play with your amperage. Again, 116 seems to work pretty good for me with this electrode. Okay, so we're continuing to roll our X. If I was looking at it away from the handle, we'll continue to rolling it in a clockwise fashion. Okay, so I'm looking at it with the handle behind. I'm looking at it this way. I'm rolling it in a clockwise fashion. So this is my next section that I'm going to start welding. And again, I'm welding towards the handle. I'm welding towards the handle. This electrode, again, is a width electrode, much like the 6010. This is not a heavy penetrating electrode, so it doesn't penetrate thick metals. Again, it's known as a beginner's electrode. It's used for very thin gauge metals and things like that. But it does leave a very nice bead, much like 7018, things like that. It will leave a very heavy flux, much like the 7018, much like the 7024, as you'll see here in a minute. And so, just like with the others, you're going to start and you're just going to fill up this section with the 6013. Again, stacking those beads. Again, I'm looking for uniformity of bead, and I'm looking for stacking the bead. Those are the two main things that I'm looking for. All right, so here we go. Let's put on the helmet. One of the things that I have noticed is some of you that are a little bit taller than some of the rest of the students. We like these chairs. I like the chairs. They do add a nice touch, especially when you're in here for 2.5 hours burning rod all day. But if you're trying to weld like this, because you're so tall and you're sitting in the chair, or you're sitting here with your knees up on the table like this, that's not a very comfortable position to be welding in, because you tend to start wanting to lay that electrode down like this, right? If you can't hold that electrode up perpendicular to your weld, then get rid of the chair, pick your table up a little bit, Uh, look around, see if you can talk somebody into getting a shorter chair. Talk to me or something. I've got some chairs that are a little bit shorter. I have one of the shorter chairs in this booth because I'm a little bit taller. Um, so those are things you need to think about. Okay, if you find that you're holding your electrode, you know, like this, instead of perpendicular 90 degrees from your work, then you're not set up right. Not set up right. Okay. All right. Let's see what this electrode will do. Okay. Much like the others, you're going to strike an arc, and then you're going to whip and pause. Again, keeping that same arc length. And then when you get to the end, break the arc, fill it up, fill it up. Okay, now what you will notice about this weld is there's a nice big heavy slag cover that we didn't see on the 6011. This looks like a 7018 bead, right? Because that nice heavy slag cover that's on there. Okay, this one we can take our chipping hammer and we can remove most of the slag with our chipping hammer. As long as we've got our helmet covering our face. A much nicer, much cleaner bead than the E6011, as you can see. Okay, now I'm going to stack my next bead just to the, as you're looking at it, it would be to the right of that bead I just laid. Okay. So I'm going to lay my next bead right here and fill that in, covering up the toe of this one right here. All right. Got to watch that table. It's another problem with being so tall. And here we go. And when you guys watched me do that, none of you even warned me about it. Thank you so much, Sebastian. Well, Campo could have warned me too. Thank you. And we're going to get the chip and hammer.
And this one puts a pretty heavy slag on it. And make sure that you have your helmet down when you're chipping the slag away, so it doesn't hit you in the face, doesn't hit you in the eyes and things like that. Okay, I'm going to touch this one up with a wire wheel. All right, again, you're more than welcome to take them outside and hit them with the wire wheel.
You can see what that's starting to look like there. Oh, turn it the other way. Okay. I'm going to throw a couple more passes on there for you, just because I'm enjoying this. Try not to hit the table this time. There we go. Now my next one is going to go up on top of the toe here of my first weld and run it right along here. Okay. Remember, I'm stacking the beads. Whenever I'm finished, I should see the last weld that I finished. That should be the only complete weld that I see. All right, I should only see the last weld that I finish. Okay, does that make sense? It really didn't make sense in my head. All right, I shouldn't see any other complete weld. I should know exactly where I stopped. If you were to walk away and leave that X sitting there, I should be able to walk up and go, oh, that was the last weld they done. And I should be able to pick up right where you left off and start stacking right on top of the weld that you just finished. Okay? All right. Let's run one or two more.
Again, we're doing a whip and pass. Whip and pass. And we're filling this up. We're imagining that both ends of your X are sealed off, and you're filling it with water. What would it look like? If both ends of your X were sealed off, and your weld that you're putting in there, like the filler metal was water, how would it look? That's the effect that you want. Okay. You want it to rise as evenly
as you can get it to rise. Starting to get a little bit warm. Nice beads coming out of there. Other way. Okay. Nice beads coming out there. Now I'm gonna lay one on top of that toe. Lay one on top of that toe, and then I'm probably gonna call it a day for you guys. All right, because I'm sure you don't want to listen to me for 30 minutes. Watch me weld for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that plate's getting hot. Getting hot, getting hot, getting hot.
Okay. And you see right there where I laid that one. Okay. And that's the way it's going to look. You'll just continue stacking beads on top of beads, just like you have done with all the others. All right. And then we will have one more electrode to introduce to you after that. And then we've got one or two weldments after that. We are, and that's it. That's it as far as weldments. I'm going to post another video explaining what's going on. Other than that, that's it on the weldments for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in the booth. I'm out.